Call the Senate Finance Committee meeting to order. Do I have a motion?
So move to go into executive session.
We have a motion to go into executive session and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. We are in executive session. Everybody's got the packet in front of them.
Mr. Chair, I ask that you hold on page 1, item number 1 in the Department of Revenue Administration.
The chair needs-
Working percentage.
The chair needs a slight recess so I can go get my pen.
Sure. I ask that we hold this while we're still working out what the splits will look like. There will be a change from current law. We just don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet. In the meantime, Senator Anderson is going to sing to us.
I couldn't even do that.
We just approved the budget.
So we did, all right. I mean, I can go home. Okay, so number 1 is on hold without objection. Okay. Department of Administrative Services, do I have a motion?
Move item 1.
Is there any objection to moving 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time?
Let's do it.
All right, Senator Lang.
Mr. Chair, for item number 3, we're going to have a committee amendment.
So we'll move 1 and 2. All right. So we have Senator Lang and Senator Bertzel. Any discussion on 1 and 2? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Number 3.
Move out of pass on item number 3, and I'd like to speak to it.
Yep. Okay.
So, Chair, this is a deja vu. We've had this before in front of us earlier, and we took it off the list. However, in meetings with the Senate President and Charlie Arlinghouse, we've decided that this is the best way to move forward, actually, to be able to, we're already paying rent at One Granite Place for the Justice Department over there, I believe it is. And this will take that rent off the books when we're ready to buy it. And additionally, there's a footnote that'll be added that the buyer or the seller has agreed to carry the note for us and to be able to help us if it's shortfalls. So it'll also going to assist us moving possibly OPLC over to that building and cover the cost to do the move as well. So again, working with Commissioner Arlinghouse in the long-term benefit of this is in the long-term benefit of the state to help reduce our overhead.
Senator Watkins.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I support this. I did have a question, though. Is the understanding that this entire amount will be used, or if there's any left over, would it lapse to the capital budget, or what?
So again, the estimate is it's actually going to probably cost more than this when we're
Okay.
all done,
Then we're good.
and rather than less, and that's why there's the footnote that says he'll carry the shortfall.
Okay. And, excuse me, if I may, if there's more, would it then come from capital or capital budget or otherwise?
Again, that'll be a future decision of future legislature to do. We just want to make sure that we have the ability to do it now.
Thank you. Good.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Moving on to the bottom of the page.
I move auto pass and have a committee amendment when we're ready.
Senator Lang moves and Senator Ennis seconds.
I'd ask that we increase fiscal year 26 to 150,000 and fiscal year 27 to 150,000 for a total of 300,000.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Moving to the top of the page. The retirement system.
Were we voting on a committee amendment? Or the
We're
item?
voting on the thing as amended. We have been doing, since we are repeating these votes later, okay? We have been combining them into one thing, and that is taking the amendment and the rest. If you would like to separate, divide the question, Senator, I'd be more than happy to take the 2 votes on this.
Just, I was curious. Thank you.
It's what we have been doing, again, for the public, okay? We actually vote on these things several times in the Finance Committee. Because what's gonna happen is that Monday, the things that we do are all, the people in OLS and the people in LBA are gonna be working all the way through the night, getting us a completed package. And then we will be voting on that package, okay? So all these other votes that we take, there'll be the things that are included in that package, and then the vote will be on that package, okay? So if anybody is confused. And have I confused you more than I did? Well, we'll talk about it later. All right, administrative services.
Nope, we're on
The
retirement system.
retirement system. That is on hold. And I've scheduled a meeting with the Democrats tomorrow at noon time, so we do anticipate that we will have that ready to talk tomorrow. But things happen, so don't yell at me if it's not. All right, so next one, administrative services.
Nope. Human Rights Commission.
Oh, human rights.
Move to
H2.
Where, oh,
We
didn't
moved the
turn the
motion of
page.
1A, 1B, and 1C.
all right, 1A, 1B, and 1C. All right.
If I can speak to it real quick, Mr. Chair.
Certainly, you go ahead, and then we'll get to Senator Waters.
So again, what A, B, and C does is A, deletes the language that deleted or removed or abolished the Human Rights Commission, and also deletes the part where it moved it over to the commercial court document, gets rid of all of that language. B, restores the funding for the position. So now that we've deleted that and it exists, we now put money towards it. We do a back of the budget reduction, and we restore the IT budget. And then the last piece is some changes to the Human Rights Commission makeup and requirements. So again, this is a package of basically undoes what the House did, puts funding back in place, and then sets some new parameters for the commission.
Senator
Yes, sir.
Waters was first. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On 1C, I just had a question about the required reporting. You know, we saw audits, was it back to 1970s or 80s that had not been addressed? And so I just wondered whether the annual reporting without some requirement about resolution, as far as the response to the audit, I just wondered whether there might be some firmer language placed around that, Senator, and I don't know what you thought, because we saw what the story was.
And I agree with you, and Senator, if you look back, it establishes a one-year advisory committee under the judicial branch to monitor and support. Because I think part of the problem was they were foundering and people just really didn't know. So this way, they're going to be under the judicial branch with this advisory committee. They're gonna keep track of what's going on. And I think that's probably a better way to do it than be extremely heavy-handed and micromanage. As this is a very delicate type of commission with the types of cases that they handle. That's why we think it's a good idea that the chair be a licensed attorney, someone who's very familiar with the law when it comes to this. So I think what we're trying to do here is very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it, and I agree this is a good approach all around. But I just do have some worries about, reports and monitoring and so forth. When we finally, I think, have a responsibility to make sure that the issues addressed actually get addressed. And I think we have the confidence, but I guess we'll, joint fiscal, we will find out whether this is
Right.
working. But I think this is a very good and thoughtful way to go, so thank you.
Senator, if I may, Mr. Chairman, in that one-year advisory committee, perhaps you might like to serve on it. No, seriously, I mean, you're very interested in it, and the committee is going to be formed, and so it's good to know that you're interested, and if you want to do that, just let me know.
Is the senator who's supposed to be on there?
Yeah. Okay.
Senator Rosenwald, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question about 1A, where it says we're deleting the Housing Appeals Board. Are we still keeping it attached to the BTLA?
Yes,
Or, oh, okay.
it's undoing everything that was done, so,
Okay, but we will still have a Housing Appeals
Yes.
Board? Thank you.
yes.
Housing Appeals Board, right now, what we've passed is that we have eliminated one position, which the contract is expiring on. We are making them administratively attached to the BTLA, And we've also had a request today from the BTLA people to make sure that the sharing language for employees is in both of the statutes so that they will be able to share, especially the administrative positions, so that the various reports and everything can be done.
And just for clarification, it deletes the repeal of the Housing Appeals Board is what it should say. So it's just the sections. We had, the Senate had previously adopted that, and this just makes it easier when putting it into HB2. So yes, it reads. Yes, thank you.
Senator Lang, you're next.
I just want to speak to Senator Waters' point. So Senator Waters, we have in the Senate, the Performance Audit and Oversight Committee. In the past, we haven't actually exercised a whole lot of oversight, more the performance auditing side. However, last month, the committee decided to take the oversight piece seriously, and we started bringing division heads and commissioners in for if they've had a previous audit and they still have outstanding findings, what's your plan? To force them into action and movement. So our first one is this Friday, I think, or next Friday, and PLC is coming in to talk about some performance audit findings they had where the audit findings are still outstanding and haven't been corrected. So we are, just know that is going to be addressed, and I'm sure it'll come up.
Thank you.
Okay, additional comments? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it.
Move to approve on 1, 2, 3, and 4.
On page 3,
2A.
1, 2A, sorry, 3 and 4.
Second.
that's 1, 2A, 3, and 4. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, could we also remove 2B and 5 in the same move?
2B and 5 would be scheduled to remove, as long as that's acceptable. So that was Senator Bertzel made the motion, seconded by Senator Lang. Further discussion?
Just read too much.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Oh, we have one nay. Okay. Page 4. You would like to move which item?
1.
Okay.
Speak to it if I could.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. This is just purely property tax relief for projects that we have been funding for a number of years. The House budget included only enough funding for currently funded debt service, and this would allow a few new projects to be added.
Further discussion?
I'd like a roll call. Thank you.
Further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
This is a pretty large ticket item. Would it be reasonable to hold this right now and discuss it on the large ticket item list with the others?
That is up to you, senators. Right now, I have a motion and a second to take it up now.
I'm happy to hold it, but I guess that's going to be for tomorrow.
We're gonna go through the big ticket list after we get done with this list.
Okay, then
Okay.
I will withdraw my motion for now.
Okay. I put a BT next to it, big ticket. Okay. All right, number 2 is on hold. And 3A and B,
Has to
we're
remove.
going to take them, remove them from the list. Is there an objection to removing them from the list?
Mr. Chair, I don't object. I'd just like to speak to it a little bit. I know
Yeah.
Senator Waters has done some work on this, and we have, there's been concerns raised about the attendance to these Wetlands Councils meeting and how that's impacting DES. And I guess I'll support making the change that the House asked for right now, and we'll by removing these, that's what we would be doing. And I'm not certain it's the right change, but I think it's a change. Sometimes we have these boards that have challenges. We see it a lot in OPLC and some of the boards that are under them, and we have to sometimes make changes to them. And if it proves not to be the right decision when we make with the change that's in the House, then I guess I'd be happy to look at this again in a future bill.
Senator Waters has his finger near the button. Senator Waters.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I have had some conversation with Senator Pearl and, of course, through the advocates and others about this. I think that we may need to see some legislation next time. I had hoped that we could kind of reset and go back to the way it was so that actually we could have a bill come over, because I think there are unresolved issues here, not just about the composition of it, but also the appointment process, because it's been very hard to get timely appointments made. And so that's why that First Amendment I had yesterday, and after looking at it, I thought we should just reset, take this provision out, and start next year. On the other hand, Senator Pearl proposes we let this go, and then maybe we'll have to legislate next year. So here we are. Thank you.
All right, where we are right now is we've got a suggestion to take these off of the list. I have not heard an objection to taking them off the list. They are removed. 4, hold. 5, hold. 6,
Move on to pass.
Senator Lang and Senator Ennis move on to pass. Discussion?
Question. Do we have a sense, any sense of how much money this would withdraw from that drinking water fund?
Senator?
Thank you. This is money from the settlement from PFAS contamination. And what the amendment does is it puts into statute the purpose of the fund, which is to reimburse communities that have already spent money on PFAS remediation. And if you would care, I've got a list here.
Yeah.
But it just puts the language in place about the fund and how the fund is going to operate. We don't know when this money is going to come. So when it comes, they can get to work. We don't have to file a bill. And they will come up with a formula and how to go ahead and do this. Mr. Bossy would like to speak on this. He's been doing a lot of work on this, so I thank him very much.
I think
Might address your concern. DES would take the list of eligible that's on the sheets we have today. They would then go to the Drinking Water and Groundwater Fund for final approval on disbursement, so the fund would still be involved.
And I believe the
There you
sheets are in front of the senators.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is from that 3M settlement that we don't have yet. Is that correct?
This is a combination of several suits that have been settled. There's 3M, DuPont, Tyco, and then I think what's holding it up is more defendants keep signing on, so they keep delaying the start of the distributions.
Thank you.
Senator Waters.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think this is a good way to go. As I recall from when Senator Morris's first bill and then my change to the bill to set up some of these funds, the idea all along was there was going to be some reimbursement. We're not going to get as much money as we thought from the settlement. We're going to get some money. It is being held up in large part because other states weren't as organized and ready and effective as we were in getting our proposal in and our funding into the suit. So we've been kind of held up, not because of anything we've done, but because of some of the slowness in some of the other states. We will get the funding. We thought we'd have it by now, but we will get this. And I think this is a useful clarification, and it will be helpful to go through the Drinking Water Trust Fund so that the kind of decisions about priorities can get made through there. But I think this is a very sensible piece of legislation, you know, to put it in here as this wording for HB2. So thank you.
All right, further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We're on to the Insurance Department. Senator Lang moves, Senator Rosenwald seconds. I want to take just a
If I
minute.
can
to
speak?
scan the amendment.
If I can speak for a
I
second?
did not get to read that, so.
So RSA 420-G12 requires insurance carriers and risk pools under RSA 5-B to provide regular claim data for medical and pharmacy claims, including large claims. Nearly all the carriers in the market, including Anthem, Aetna, Cigna, Harvard Pilgrim, and risk pools such as School Care and Interlocal Trust, have understood the law language to include large claim data, including diagnosis for large claims in excess of $50,000. The information is readily available to all insurers and risk pools, is de-identified, and meets all the privacy requirements. Large claim diagnosis is required by most insurance companies and stop-loss carriers to provide a competitive quote. Without this data, it becomes really or nearly impossible for employers to negotiate and place insurance carrier coverage. The language seeks to clarify the intent of the law to provide the data necessary to competitively bid to health insurance and puts the health insurance providers on an even playing field. The clarifying language will also make it easier for municipal officials who are seeking health care to find the best health care insurance rates possible and save taxpayer money locally.
That almost sounded like a floor speech.
I know, I wrote it up. So.
Further discussions, Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you. The way I read this amendment, it would have been helpful to Rochester in its quest to obtain that information from its former pooled risk management trust.
There is a history of litigation on this issue.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Moving on. Page 5, I'm told we're gonna have a committee amendment on number 1.
Item 5 under natural cultural resources.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Well, we want
item number 1, we want to approve just one item.
20.
The amendment 2434.
Yes,
And then we want to pass item 2A and 2B as written.
right.
Second.
Okay. That was Lang and a Birdsall. I want to look over to this side of the table to see if everybody understands what we're doing. Okay, further discussion? Oh, Senator Lang.
So again, my inbox was filled when I allocated $1 for the Council of the Arts, and I took that to heart and I made changes. This will allow for a tax break system to allow. They still allow them to collect donations, but make it more incentivized by allowing those corporate donations or private donations to also equate to a 50% tax credit on state tax rates that are necessary. So again, I think this is a good compromise, provides the funding necessary to keep the arts moving forward, and does it in the most cost-effective way possible.
Senator Ennis.
Very briefly, Senator from District 1 and I worked on the 3 amendments that come first. Given the budget realities and the difficult funding issues that we're facing, I think 2A and 2B get the job done. And of course, allowing the restoration of the positions through 2434 makes good sense. So I think we're in a decent spot, all things considered, and I thank my colleagues for helping us get here.
Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is very helpful. I think that making sure in 2B that we have the kind of core operations covered, so that there can be somebody who actually goes out and tries to sell these tax credit, that is good. And I think that'll keep the office functioning, and this incentive program, I think, will be very successful. So thank you.
All right. Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Birdsall.
I just want to make a clarification. I was just looking at the public water system, so going back to that number 6 on page 4, I noticed that my condo association is on that list of PFAS, so I did vote on it, so just wanted to notify.
Okay.
I'll get you a bottle of water to take home. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask that you hold the Department of Safety. We will have that language is done. It'll be in tomorrow's packet.
Okay. And the university system is big ticket, and we'll talk about that in the big ticket list. 6,
Page 6. Mr. Chair, page 6, item number 1, I recommend we remove.
without objection, we will remove it from the list. Seeing no objection, it is removed. Okay. Number 1 on page 6. All those in favor of removal, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
No,
Okay, so we've got 3. Okay. The ayes have it. Going on to Office of the Commissioner. First item, I'm going to put, it's on the big ticket list, and we'll talk about it there. Second, number 2.
And as, so we remove this from the list?
I object.
You are objectionable.
My wife has
Sorry,
told me
I
that
did.
several times. We'll have,
So I think removing it from the list would keep the section in, and this it purely relates to standing orders established by the HHS Chief Medical Officer, so it has nothing to do with what was being discussed yesterday.
and therefore, if you want to vote, we can vote on removal, but I think that I would like to move to approve.
Well, again, the idea is, Mr. Chair, if I remember right, the vote would be if we want to delete it from the budget, which I don't think we want to do. If we just remove it from our list, it just stays in the budget.
Correct. Removal from the list would be to approve the section.
Right.
I sit corrected. Okay,
So
we're going to take it
We're gonna
off of our list
keep the
And-
ability for standing orders.
Yes.
from the department. Okay. All right. So without objection, it'll be removed from our list. All right, next one, number 1, under the Division of Economic Stability. It's a big ticket, that'll go talk, and the next one, the same, is a big ticket. And number 3 is a,
Mr. Chair, I'd ask that we remove, we passed yesterday a $7.5 billion similar program using the TANF funds and directed the DHHS to seek approval for use of those funds.
is there objection to removing it from the
No,
list?
I agree.
All right, seeing no objection, it is removed from the list. Page 7, top of the page. That is hold item.
Yep.
There may be revisions coming to another thing that would affect this. The next item is a removal from the list. Objections to taking 2 off the list? Senator?
Well, my objections are that we have a few thousand people who could qualify for this program who are so low income, they can't afford their Medicare Part A premiums, deductibles, their B premiums, their D premiums, and they've turned 65, aged into Medicare. We're talking about people who might be on the developmental disability waiver, people who might be coming off aids of permanently and totally disabled, some of our poorest and frailest and most vulnerable seniors. So because this has no budget impact in the next biennium, I think we should pass the policy. Yesterday, we discussed, a couple of us, not me, but a few members feel that the economic outlook is rosy. I think we'll be able to fund this in the succeeding biennium. We've already adopted some components that don't kick in until the next biennium. I think this is good policy. I think it's fair to our low-income seniors, and so I do object to removing it from the list.
Further discussion? All those in favor of removing it from the list, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
No.
Okay. Was that 3? Okay. Item number 3 is on hold. Item number 4,
To approve.
Second?
Senator Ennis, and seconded by Senator Lang. Further discussion?
Can we ask questions of?
You may certainly. Who would you like from the department? We have Nathan, we have. Who in the department feels that they are most qualified to answer a question?
Unmet dish.
I do have a couple of questions.
Well, we'll bring multiple people up. Who would you like first, Senator? Nathan, all right.
Both of them. So, thank you. Let me just say first that I am absolutely delighted that this got settled. There's a lot of hard work on the part of the department, the governor's office, and the hospital. So I think it's really good for the state. We'll get to do it all over again in the next term. But I do have 2 questions, really. On page 45, what is the miscellaneous revenue?
Sure. So there's 2 pages that are related to this, page 44 and page 45. On page 44, what you'll see is you'll see a reduction to the federal funds as well as the miscellaneous revenue. And that miscellaneous revenue represents the Met in that particular case. And then you'll see the corresponding increase of the Met revenue showing up in the 7948 and the standard and the larger Medicaid care management account, as well as the other federal funds. So the action itself is net zero. What we're doing is we're moving the funds out of the 7943 account for the uncompensated, for the DISH payments, and moving that into the directed care and the rates as part of the settlement agreement.
So provider payments and rates and some dish. Thank you. Could I follow up? Thank you.
ma'am.
So the first thing we did when we got the budget was to remove the 3% Medicaid rate reduction, which cost us $52.5 million of general funds. This adds almost $140 million to the Medicaid provider payments, meaning that we don't have to use general funds to that extent. Are we able to take that $52.5 million that we added back and spend it elsewhere because we're getting 135 or so million dollars more? And this is kind of what we discussed yesterday.
Sure. The $52.5 million did not appear in the operating budget. They were a directive within House Bill 2. So there was actually no real money change in the operating budget for that reduction. There was no action there. So there's no, from my perspective, I'm not seeing additional money that could directly be used because we never made any adjustments to the Medicaid budget itself within the operating budget.
May I? So we have 135 or so $1 million more for Medicaid provider payments because the change is $67.8 million a year that's going into provider payments and some other things. Why doesn't it allow us to supplant more general funds?
Do you want to talk about the agreement?
I think for the record, Henry Lippman, State Medicaid Director. I think part of it is how it connects to the settlement agreement and the amounts that we have to pay out to fulfill what was agreed upon. And again, I think in terms of the met amounts that are in the budget, I think we can work within that, but in terms of the amounts that we need to pay out to make the settlement agreement work is, I guess would be the short answer. There's the way that the Met agreement works, right? There's the amounts that go to the hospital, but then there's also the amounts that, historically has been used to pay other provider payments like mental health, FQHCs, and what have you. Be happy to trace something out for you. It's probably better than I can rip off the top of my head here, but generally there's not extra money here that's sort of unclaimed for.
Senator?
So, thank you. The way and nobody knows anything about this agreement as far as I can tell. I've never seen the details, although you've told me things about it that I assume are in it. And a lot of it involves funds left over or moved around from 2018 and 2019, plus a whole lot more extra federal match because of the move to directed payments. So we are getting a lot more federal funds, going from like 50% match to, I think you said 68 or 69% match.
67%.
67.
Yeah.
I don't understand. The money is not all going back to the hospitals. A lot of it's going to provider payments, which otherwise we would have to appropriate general funds for.
So in the settlement agreement with respect to 18 and 19, those are funds, those are hospital monies that are moving between hospitals. They were never the state's money to keep according to the state plan. So that was approximately $42 million.
And there are increases to the federal funds within the expanded Medicaid budget, but the Granted Advantage program is not included in the state operating budget, so you're not going to be seeing those increases to the federal funds there. Those won't directly impact the operating budget just because that trust fund is set aside and off budget.
I'm sorry.
Senator Lang?
It's just an ask. I think I asked this yesterday, but if I can get, what I think I'd like to see is a spreadsheet or a drawdown, show me, here's the tax, here's the federal match, here's where all the money goes, in a nice, simple drawdown tree so people can understand better where the monies are flowing.
Sure.
I think that's a lot of us think there's a black curtain and it goes behind and we don't know what that looks like behind the curtain. So I think we'd like to see that drawdown. Here's the tax, here's where the money, here's the matches, and here's where all the money, here's what goes back to the hospitals, that whole drawdown until we get to zero so we know where all the money went.
Happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and this takes care of all the percentages and everything else that's in the other bill about moving, and you're happy with it, right?
Reasonably happy.
Reasonably happy.
Yeah. Nobody walked away happy. They're just glad it's over.
Do any of the senators want to discuss this further? No. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, page 7, long-term support services.
I move item 1.
Second.
And I'd like to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a committee amendment, and I will have some information, the language. There's just some concern between the stakeholder and DHHS. We got the language settled, so the committee amendment will have that language in it.
Here we go.
I'm gonna give him a minute to look over the sheet that we just gave him. Senator Bertzel.
So the addition to the language is in the sentence where said appropriation shall be used by, and this is the new language, by the department to fund services for individuals as set forth in RSA 151E:28. In the event these funds are not fully expended for this population, the department has the authority to use said funds to fund services for individuals served under RSA 171A, RSA 161F52, and RSA 135C. And that's the change in the language.
Okay, does everyone understand what we're voting on, including the committee amendment? Senator Waters.
So just actually a question for Senator Birdsall. So in the original amendment, you mentioned the 50 positions, and this just leaves it up to the department to figure out what they can do with the money.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Moving on.
Chair, I move item number 2.
Senator Lang moves item number 2, seconded by Senator Pearl.
Mr. Chair, can I? So again, this was, now that I'm in Office 117, which is Senator D'Alessandro's, this is one of his topics and issues that he used to bring up on a regular basis and got funding for. I'd like to see us continue this funding. It's probably the most cost-effective way to help. This is New Hampshire relative to congregate housing, so I'd ask that we support and pass this amendment.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Number 3, although it's got zeros on there, it actually ends up to be a big ticket item. So it will be discussed on, when we get to big ticket items. Page 8. Senator Rosenwald, do you want to make a motion on number 2?
Yes, I would have made a motion on number 1, but,
If you
Read the room.
I can tell you, Senator, that I'm encouraging you to make a motion on number 2. If you'd
Yes.
like to make a motion on 1, that's certainly your prerogative.
So when I spoke with the department about this program, they let me know that for this somewhat less amount of general funds, we could still draw down the same amount of federal funds. That's why I put it in. Ideally, obviously, more is better, but if we can pass this program with the reduced general funds.
Senator Rosenwald
And
moves
I
item
didn't
number.
even have my mic on. I moved number
If
2.
you'd like to repeat, you may.
No, well, let me just
Senator
repeat.
Waters seems to want a second, okay? All right, and this would have the removal of item number 1 on that page also. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right, moving on to 1A and 1B, the big ticket. And then item 2 is on hold. That gets us to the end of today's packet. Okay? Does everyone have their big ticket list with them now?
Deb, could I have another copy?
We're gonna take a 10-minute recess.
All right, well, fine, good,
And then we'll reconvene.
thank you.
Just so everybody in the room knows, there's a new list that removes some of the items we've already voted on. So, yep, you're gonna get that in a minute. We're going to call the committee out of recess while we're still waiting for one or two people if they want to come.
There's one.
Let's talk about Monday and Tuesday next week. All right, the schedule is going to go out for Monday to meet at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we will recess to a time certain if we need to meet additional times during Monday or during Tuesday morning. And then the final vote on the budget should happen during our 1 o'clock session on Tuesday. 1:30 session on Tuesday. See how well I can mess things up. Senator Water.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, on Monday, do you think we'll take a break at noon?
I think that we will probably only have a half hour, 40 minutes. That's my guess of stuff to do. But because there may be things that are hanging out there, we may want to come back later and we'll try to work that time out
All right,
with you.
fine. I have a meeting at noon, that's all, so.
We will try to work that time out with you, should we need to. I mean,
Yeah.
it may be possible that, we'll all go out of here singing Kumbaya and, come back on Tuesday and take the vote and leave, so. I wouldn't hold my breath, but, okay? So, everyone has in front of them the new priority list, okay? Probably best for LBA to go down through this for us. The top item I think we've dealt with.
Yes. Yep, one is done. Retirement system you have on hold still. Human Rights Commission is done. Judicial branch is done. And that brings you to the second page, and this one's still on hold. So Department of Environmental Services, the state aid grant of $5 million per year.
All right, I got lost at the bottom of page 1. This branch are all done, right?
All done except retirement systems.
Okay. Now we're on page 2. Catch me up here.
Number one on page 2, this one you haven't taken action on yet, and it's the $5 million per year for the state aid wastewater grants.
Okay. That is not high on my priority list. Senator Rosenwald, it is high on yours, right?
It is because I hear a lot about rising property taxes, and this is a pure property tax relief bill. This is what we affectionately call buco bucks and would allow for some new projects that have already been completed and paid for with, presumably with bonding by the municipalities, to have us pay 20 to 30% of their debt service at the completion of the project. So it is, I
right,
think
so-
it should be a priority for us. I'd like to move it,
Well,
or
I'm not
you're not.
I'm not ready to take
You're
motions
not,
right yet.
okay.
So I have one person that's high on their priority list. Anybody else that's high on their priority list? Okay, I have 2. All right. Moving on to the next one, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources.
We did all of Department of Natural and Cultural Resources.
Okay. The Department of Safety, is there anything you wanted to say about that before we wait till tomorrow to get your bill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess what I'll say is we have a bill coming in tomorrow, and in discussions with LBA, it looks like the bill, as I'm going to present it, will net about $4 million to the Highway Safety Fund. So that, I know in some earlier actions, we've taken that pretty well down to 0. This would backfill a little bit of that money if we're successful in passing this bill that I'm bringing tomorrow.
Okay. Moving on to the university system, certainly that's high on my priority, is it higher than anyone else's?
Yes, very.
All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think it's probably high on all of ours to do something.
I'm gonna put you down as a medium then.
A medium, all right.
We'll talk.
You're a medium also? All right.
I'm gonna
All
buy
right,
a
well,
drink.
I'm trying to get a sense here, okay? All right. Division of Behavioral Health.
So this item you took action on earlier today, you removed it from the packet, so it'll come off of future lists.
Done. Okay, bottom of the page, Commissioner's Office, 3 million.
Yes, so this one, it's funding for a contract for Medicaid long-term care eligibility determinations, and it would temporarily increase the nursing home license fee from $25 to $80 as well. That's estimated to raise $600,000 over the biennium, so this has a net cost of 2.4.
It's a priority for me.
All right, we've got 2 high priorities. Anybody else? Senator Waters? Okay. Senator Ennis also?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 2 on the next page, it's not a fiscal item, and you took care of it today anyway, so that should come off as well.
Okay, both of them?
Just number 2, the one that says House Bill 2, sections to
Oh, that's
consider.
the other one's a continuation from the front.
Yes, you did that one. So under economic stability, 1 and 2 were put on hold earlier today, and number 3 was removed from the list.
Okay, so 3 is done.
I-
And,
I know that item 1, the tier 1 phone, call center is a priority for DHHS, so it's pretty much a priority for me as well.
all right, I've got 3 high priorities.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the Medicaid services.
We have number 2 to do.
Yep.
Well, I thought we were doing 1 and 2 at the same time. All right, we'll go back and do 2 separately then.
Number 6.
High priority for who?
It's housing stabilization. It's low on my priority list.
Okay.
Lower.
Mine as well. Medium goal.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it, but given everything else.
Medium.
All right, so with this one, I'm going to suggest that we remove it from the list without objections.
Item number 2?
Item number 2,
Okay.
okay? So that'll come off of both lists, the big ticket and the other.
All right.
All right. Medicaid services.
This one is a high priority for me.
Yep. And that one, we're having a plan come forward, so it may not be a fair thing to do the priorities on this one yet, because there is a plan with some changes in there that would mitigate some of the costs, I believe.
At
Okay?
some point, I would like to make some comments about this, but,
No time like the present, Senator. Go ahead.
well, I mean, I know it's allowed under federal law. We did finally get the department to tell us how many people would be subject to what's basically an income tax. It's over 10,000 adults, and it's 8,600 kids. The department could not tell us how many people would be disenrolled, what the process would be, which employees would do the work, or how quickly. They did say they would have to hire a contractor to collect and administer the premiums, but they have not stated a cost to do so. And one thing I find really interesting is that about 2 weeks ago, a study was published that was co-authored by professor at Dartmouth that looked at the de-identified, because you know how I feel about that.
Yes, ma'am.
De-identified records of tax records and health records of 37 million Americans. So a huge, huge study. And it found that adults enrolled in Medicaid expansion had a 79% greater likelihood of surviving from year to year. And that is so huge and so significant. And I can't think of any other intervention that would have that kind of impact than simply making it so that people can stay on health insurance. It literally decreases their chance of death from year to year. And a couple of things I'm specifically worried about with these premiums is that Medicaid is the best source of coverage for addiction treatment. And in fact, if you look at the drugs that are most often prescribed in Medicaid, Suboxone is very high on the list. So we know that people will lose access to addiction treatment and our overdose death rate will go back up. We also know that the mental illness severity will increase as people lose coverage. And we'll go back to significant ER boarding, putting Mission Zero, which has apparently been very successful, at risk. And I always remind myself that the involuntary psychiatric admissions are paid for with taxpayer funds, not by commercial insurance. So people are going to get sicker. They're going to land in the ER. They're going to stay there for days or weeks, end up finally in a DRF bed, and the state dime is going to pay for it. And beyond the adults, there are a number of families where the children are enrolled in Medicaid because it has a higher eligibility threshold. And the parents are buying individual market insurance on the health benefit exchange. I worry that people are likely to keep their kids and pay the premiums for that and drop their own health insurance. So people are still going to get sick, but they're going to end up seeking care later, probably in emergency departments. And they won't have access to preventive care. And their children, if they can't afford the 5% premiums for their children, are not going to get well child care. So I think what really disturbs me is that we're putting this on the back of people who are low income, while at the same time expanding EFAs to even the wealthiest families in the state. And for me, it's just a choice that's wrong. Thank you.
Understood, and there will be a modification coming forward. Senator Birdsall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to let everyone know that I will be putting in an amendment, and the premiums will not be based on the amount of income. And to equate EFAs with Medicaid is two different buckets of money. So again, I'm putting in an amendment, hopefully it'll be ready tomorrow. It will not be based on anyone's income, so we'll see what happens tomorrow, but in both programs, it will be based on a portion of the cost of the services versus income. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you. So that brings up the point of what Congress has been looking at, which is a $35 copay for services, making me think that if we did do premiums, some people would probably be subject to both. And how would a provider know whether to charge the
Since Congress
copay
hasn't acted
or
yet,
not?
since Congress hasn't acted yet.
Congress hasn't acted
I
yet.
understand your concern.
The last thing I would say is that I really don't think they're two different buckets of money, because the Education Trust Fund is a name, another name for general funds. We put money, we direct money from certain revenue sources in there, but if it runs out of money, it's backed up by general funds. This money is all fungible, so to me, it's all the same. It's all the same money. Thank you.
All right, moving on to Division of Public Health.
And you acted on these earlier today. You removed one from the list and approved two.
So that's done.
And under DCYF, 1A and 1B are the department's requests to restore funding for youth residential placements to the department's level. And 2 is simply a move that they'd ask you to make from 27 to 26 if that request to add money is not approved.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So on this item, again, number 2, obviously is cost-effective model, but the question is, would it be appropriate to add a committee amendment that would allow them, if we only move the money back to 2026, and then allow them for 27 to go to fiscal for any funds that might be necessary to support the program rather than a direct appropriation? So if, again, we're talking about revenues coming in much better for 27, would that be a mechanism we could use and move the money back and then allow for 27 if they need additional funds, they can go to fiscal, if the revenue supports it? So.
Sure. I can't necessarily speak to the fiscal question, but as Kevin had indicated, we had seen a 10% reduction during the House phase to the residential treatment budgets. One of the challenges that we have in this area, which is perhaps why fiscal may be an appropriate venue, is we do not necessarily know, A, the number of children that are going to need services, but we also don't know the funding source. So a child may qualify for TANF, we're able to use TANF funds. They may qualify for Medicaid, we may be able to use Medicaid. They may qualify for 4E, we may be able to use that. Or they may not qualify for any of those funding sources in 100% general funds, which makes the predictive nature of this difficult. So I think if funds are not available to be had, then we would certainly like to have the $5 million moved back, because we're able to carry those funds forward into the second year to give us the maximum amount of flexibility. But fiscal could a footnote in HB1 or wherever it may be would certainly be helpful, to say the least. We appreciate that.
So, Mr. Chair, is a motion appropriate at this point, or how do you want to handle this?
A motion would be in order.
I would move that we approve item number 2 with a footnote that says they're able to move the money back to 2026, let it lapse forward to 27 if they have leftover funds, and if they're still short funds, give them the ability, if revenues are there, to be able to go to fiscal and there's a need to be able to go to fiscal to be able to request additional funds, and then remove item 1A and 1B.
I'll second.
Senator Bertzel.
Nathan, does that work for you, for the HHS?
Yes.
Okay.
Senator Waters.
I think that's a good plan. I do wonder if we could have some information about what is the impact now of not doing 1A or 1B? I mean,
Sure.
It's clear we have needs here, and I'm just wondering whether maybe we could find some amount of money.
Sure. So
for 1 or 2.
Yeah. Again, I mean, these are services that we need to provide for children in need. So whether it's going back through fiscal or reducing services in another area or cutting a contract. I mean, we're going to have these costs one way or another. This is one of the challenges with our budget is we have needs that sometimes drive the costs. It's not necessarily something we have control over. So the fiscal approach may be appropriate. We would probably know, probably 18 months into the biennium whether we're going to need to be moving forward for a fiscal solution. Of course, the alternative would be to appropriate the general funds, which of course is our priority request, but we also recognize the difficult position that the Senate is right now.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to remove 1A and 1B and approve 2. All the, with the caveat of the aforementioned stuff. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. All right. So, where we are is your highest priority one was UNH and the Commissioner's office. Have I got that correct?
Yes, you do. Senator Carson sets the system.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Group 2, I think, is certainly maybe unspoken in that, but that's a high priority over here. Thank you.
I understood. Where am I with dollars right now? Is Mr. Kane available to tell me where I am? If I were to approve the university system and I was to approve the office of the commissioner, where am I in dollars?
I think we'd have to calculate that based on what you've done earlier today. The document that we sent out earlier this morning is the latest that we've produced at this point. I think you'd probably still be within the available funds you have if you were to do one of those.
Because we can make those adjustments later. If you guys want to take an action today, we can.
Yeah.
Senator Waters.
I would, if it finds agreeable, I think it would be helpful today to vote for the university system funding. I would move that.
All right, and with that university system, I am the Senate representative to the Board of Trustees. That is part of my Senate duties, so there is no conflict there. And Senator Ennis, I'll let you make your own disclosure.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I am a professor of marketing and hospitality management at the University of New Hampshire. The funding level coming from the state has no direct impact on my income or workload. Therefore, I will be participating in the vote. Thank you.
Senator Rosenbaum.
As a member of the Ethics Committee, I can just say that voting on the budget is exempt from everything.
Nevertheless, thank you, though.
Understand, but, the public has the right to know what's going on, and we should not hide it from them. All right.
So I'd like to be clear on what the motion is and what the revenue we're talking about is and what the differential is between the House budget and what we're voting on today and what the budget impact of that is. It says 67 million. Is that we're going to expand beyond the House position, 67 million on top of to go to 85? What is, can I just get LBA to walk through that?
So the House appropriated approximately 66.2 million of total funds, of which about 51 million was general funds and $15 million a year came from the unique program. Based on this committee's earlier actions of restoring most of the unique funding, taking that out of UNH, that would have left just the $51 million of general funds. This action here would add an additional $33 million or so per year, bringing the total general fund appropriation to $85 million for USNH.
Whereas the governor's budget was around 91.
About 91.2, yes.
So another reduction of about $6 million a year, or $12 million over the biennium from the governor's budget, but an increase over the House's budget.
Correct.
And again, this is, remember, we're going to vote and we're going to vote. So this is a preliminary vote. We do want to know what the numbers are. So does everybody understand now what you're voting on? All those in favor of the university system funding, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, and the other one that was high on your priority list was the Office of the Commissioner for the $3 million.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could ask a question about this, because
Certainly.
I understand how this works. So this is a short-term backfill? Is that how this is going to work? My understanding is that there's a delay between when someone is put into the program, when they actually get approved for the Medicaid long-term care, and then the HHS approves the backfill back to the date they were admitted, and we're just trying to give the money to the long-term care centers for that window of time where they're waiting for eligibility? And then does that mean they pay the state back?
Does the deputy or assistant commissioner or whomever want to, oh, okay.
That's my understanding, but they'll clarify it. I could be all off base.
Is there a page number in the packet?
It's on page 6 is the short version, and the amendment's on page 36.
Okay. Yes, so what this amendment would do is, this would make an appropriation to the department to hire a contractor. We go out to competitively bid and enter into a contract. It's the target date within the provision is December 2025. There would be an increase in the license fee, and the appropriation, while independent of that licensing fee revenue increase, while it is independent, I think the policy directive here in Roman 2 would indicate that part of the reason for the fee increase is to go back to the state general coffers to benefit for that purpose. So from a budgetary perspective, we're not going to see any in and out movement related to this, but from a state perspective, you would see that benefit result from paragraph 2.
Senator Bertson.
So, thank you, Nathan. So this contractor would be starting to move the paperwork a lot faster so we can get people through the system faster?
Yes, that would be the goal.
Thank you.
Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you. So my understanding of this is that Medicaid will pay 90 days retroactively. So this would be for cases that take longer to determine than 90 days.
Good afternoon again. Henry Lippman for the record, Medicaid Director. Thank you for your question. With long-term care applications, it's from the date of applications signed that we have to go back to in terms of paying, assuming the application is eligible. I think you're thinking of 90-day retroactive. When you first apply for Medicaid, you can go back 90 days and claim for like medical type situations, but for a long-term care situation for a nursing home placement, that we go back to the date of application, because there's this process of people having to provide, trusts or financial information, what have you. That dynamic is kind of what, the nursing homes or nursing facilities are kind of working through with the state and with the clients. And so the idea here is that, we're able to staff up to interact more frequently with the nursing homes to resolve the matters that are holding up approval of an application, which is then holding up cash flow for the nursing facilities.
Thank you.
I've got multiple hands up. Senator Rosenwald, did you want to continue?
I did. Thank you. Would this contractor be working on both the financial eligibility and the medical eligibility? And when you say the date the application is received, is that when it's the date it's complete, or the date that the person just filed?
So when a person stays in a hospital and they're gonna know that they're gonna need nursing home care, if they fill out the application there and sign their application that they want that, they can preserve that date so long as they act within a reasonable time to provide the completion of the financial information. Because obviously, if they're coming from a hospital, oftentimes the assessment's already, largely known, but if they're coming from the community, that's where I think you're thinking of the issue related to medical evaluations. I believe that this contract is for the financial component of it, but
Senator Lang.
So again, so I recognize this isn't a backfill cover the cost for the hospital. This is strictly a personnel cost for staffing. How many people currently, how do you process these applications now? And how many people process them?
we have, I think, the highest vacancy rate in the department for this particular function. I think it's well over 20, I think there's like 69 vacancies or something in that.
Yeah, so currently within the budget, there's approximately, I think it was 72 specialists that work in this area that are unfunded. That's part of the reason why, like, the Tier 1 call center is another layer of the strategy to make sure that that these applications are processed timely, and then this particular area for long-term care, this would amplify that as well. So it's certainly an area where we are seeing a high vacancy rate within that team. There's several hundred people, but again, it's a little over 20% vacancy rate in that specific area.
Virginia Pollard?
Sure.
So again, are these vacant positions that are budgeted and unfilled, or are these unfunded vacant positions?
So the positions, the 70 some odd positions, those are vacant and unfunded.
Okay. So, and one more time, how many people are currently working these applications now?
Just doing some quick math, I would have to go back and check, but I believe there's over 200.
I guess my question is, if we have 200 people working the applications now, why, is there a better benefit of doing an outside contract that those versus adding staff to the 200 people directly to be able to process more applications overall? I'm trying to understand the math here and why it makes sense to now go to an outside source that'll now have two groups of people working the process, one within the agency and one outside the agency, and then do the Tier 1 call center to boot, which is also going to change the workload.
All right, just so that you know where we are right now, we've got Senator Birdsall on the list, we've got Senator Pearl on the list, and it's probably clear to most people that this item probably needs to be deferred until tomorrow for resolution, some of these things. So I'll let you respond to Senator Lang's and then anyone else, but we won't vote on this today, we will vote on this tomorrow.
So I just want to clarify, the question you're asking is why not hire people directly versus using a contractor? I think in terms of there's also a long lead time to train people up to do long-term care. And so I think what we're trying to do, we understand that the nursing facility industry is under stress financially and trying to get to getting to help that situation as fast as we can. It can take a number of months to train someone up.
Senator Birdsall, you had a question?
I did not.
Okay, Senator Pearl.
Well, thank you.
I thought I saw your hand go up, I'm sorry.
Some of my question has been answered by Senator Lang's question. I guess my follow-up to that would be is, we know that there's a huge backup in our hospitals with folks that are waiting to get services from, nursing homes or other care centers. Do you feel that the things we're trying to do in this particular section with the outside contractor as well as the call center and all of that is going to help to improve? I know this is for the financial well-being of those institutions, but is that going to help improve and lower these waiting times for these folks that are in the hospitals? Do you have a sense of that?
We believe it would, and I also would add to that, though, with understanding that Congress hasn't finished their work, there's a lot of things coming at us, including the work requirement that are going to require us to devote some of this people who are doing eligibility to handle some of those functions. So, we have a challenge as it is right now, and then we have more challenges, I know, that aren't finalized yet, but coming towards us. I know that our work requirement bill looks like that's going to be enacted, so I know we have work to do there with our eligibility team. I think we have a multi-pronged effort. It's a high priority of the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. We've been looking at all the work, trying to see where we can simplify policy and procedure. We're actively engaged with the staff to find out what the workarounds are. We've been meeting regularly with the New Hampshire Healthcare Association, trying to come up with different strategies to work things better. We've made some system changes, but I can tell you some of what we're dealing with is what happened during the pandemic, where it was 3 years or longer for some people where they didn't have to do redetermination work, and sort of we have caught up with doing all the redeterminations, but it's just we had to catch up doing over 200,000 applications, and it's just been compared to many states, we're in a much better position in terms of how we've come through the pandemic, in terms of getting back to, quote, regular operations, but we still have some significant challenges. And I think also, have people being able to get the information that they need from banks, from insurance companies, trust documents that, that people are doing the best they can in that environment. And because we're understaffed in the sense that we have vacancies and what have you, that the ideal way to process an application is to have one person handle it all the way through, but we've had to work on what we call I forget what we call it name, but in terms of rather than doing it, but one person sort of having it go through a process where different people pick up different steps of it. And so it isn't the most, if you will, customer-centric way to do it, but it's the way that we can handle the volume with the staff that we have. And been trying to work through different ways of sharing information better with the nursing facility so they can help their people complete applications.
Thank you.
Senator Rosenbaum.
What percentage of people who enter a nursing home go in as a self-pay or insured? I mean, this amendment seems to imply that everybody entering a nursing home is going in on Medicaid. And my understanding is that people are running through their assets pretty quickly within a few months, but that some people are not entering a nursing home on Medicaid.
So I think that dynamic is in terms of the managing the financial dynamic that nursing facilities have to take. They need to have some sense whether they're ultimately going to be eligible. And so part of that work is to understand that this person will be eligible based on a certain level of spend down, as you spoke to. And so I think that we do still have to process an application, even though they're entering with some resources, because the facility wants to know that ultimately, when those resources run out, that they're not dealing with complete uncompensated care.
Senator Birdsall.
Thank you. Henry, when someone is released from the hospital and sent to a nursing home, what is the lead time from the time the nursing home receives the individual to the time they actually get their first payment from, let's say, Medicaid or Medicare?
Yeah, if there's a complete application, the payment should come within 90 days. The problem is that what people see as a complete application can vary. Like an example might be someone says they submit a trust document, they assume they've met the requirement, but it turns out that trust document doesn't meet the definition that protects it's not, if you will, perfect to what needs to be accept and qualify for Medicaid and not count assets.
A follow-up?
Follow-up?
So how long can it be before the nursing facility gets the payment, and who is taking care of the bills in the meantime?
So the nursing facilities are carrying accounts receivable that
Yeah.
can be large for them, particularly the homes that aren't, large corporations. Even the ones that are, nationally, there are a lot of them that are running financially challenged. So it can take, much longer than 90 days if the ability to perform and complete the application is a factor. And, as I said, we're trying to look at different ways that we can streamline that. We have made some progress in knocking some of that backlog down, and it is, one of our highest priorities in terms of trying to work through that. We understand what the situation is, and particularly in the time of where we're not able to give the type of rate increases that we'd all like to give, that we need to try to do what we can to help them and help the people who are waiting to get the care they need.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Thank you very much. All right, because we need to vote on these things tomorrow, is there anything else on the high priority list that we have anybody in the audience that you want to ask questions of?
Can we bring Brendan Williams up?
Absolutely. Brendan, if you'd like to come up.
And Jess, if you want to come up too. I just want to hear from him first.
I think there's another chair, empty chair right behind you, Brendan.
Microphone.
Henry is a tough act to follow. For the record, Brendan Williams, I'm the President and CEO of the New Hampshire Healthcare Association. We represent most of the state's private nursing homes, 3 of the county nursing homes. And we really appreciate the fact that Senator Birdsell and other members of this committee have been sensitive to the issue of facilities waiting for Medicaid payment due to applications taking a long time. We understand the workforce issues that the department is dealing with. There are a lot of complicated factors that go with Medicaid application delays. Simply to file a Medicaid application, to come up with all the paperwork is not an easy thing. We had preferred an approach that Senator Rochefort had proposed, which was Senate Bill 131, which would make provisional payments to nursing homes during the pendency of the Medicaid application determination process. But that would require this body appropriating funds for a revolving fund where monies would come in and monies would go out as applications are approved. And we understand the fact that you don't have a lot of resources right now to put towards such an effort. So instead, this is really our plan B, if you will, and that is that money be given to the department to contract out specifically for the purpose of processing Medicaid eligibility determinations for long-term care. Not just for nursing homes, because nursing homes are putting skin in the game here by being willing to have their fee increased, which would generate about $620,000 over the biennium, but also for long-term care generally. To Senator Rosenwald's point, people are living longer, and so they can spend down their resources in the home and community-based setting, and then when they get into a nursing home, they don't have the resources to pay privately. So if we can catch them early with respect to their Medicaid eligibility, that helps the entire system, and that certainly, to Senator Pearl's point, helps hospitals in their ability to discharge into long-term care settings. Recently, Senator Carson visited a facility in her district. That facility is owed over $900,000 because of Medicaid applications still not approved. So it's had as many as 12 residents that it's not getting paid for at all, and as a result, it has to slow roll payment to its vendors. It can't obviously delay on its payments to its employees, But the owner has to tell the administrator, look, there's some vendors here that we can't pay this cycle, and we're gonna have to see if they can wait. That can't continue indefinitely, and that's happening all over the state. There are facilities throughout the state that are experiencing these huge amounts of money that are owed. In a perfect world, the department would have all the resources in-house to be able to process Medicaid applications timely. We don't live in that perfect world, and we think that this Plan B, if you will, is really the means to give the department the ability to process Medicaid applications timely for long-term care.
Senator Bertzel?
Brendan, how many nursing facilities are in this similar?
Well, there are 74 nursing homes altogether. The county nursing homes, for the most part, don't have the severity of the problem with Medicaid pendings. I would say of the private nursing homes, the over 60 private nursing homes, probably just about every one has a pretty severe problem with Medicaid pendings. With the exception of the facility that's in Senator Pearl's district. It doesn't have a huge problem. They have 3 facilities under common ownership, and they really work it, but in all the rest of your districts, with the exception of Senator Innes, because the only nursing home in his district is the Merrimack County Nursing Home, there is a very severe problem.
Additional questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Again, we're going to act on these things tomorrow. Is there anyone else in the audience that any of the senators want to ask questions of? Seeing none, I will take a motion. Oh, Senator Bertzel.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to try and move, if nothing else, under Division of Economic Stability, number 1, the call center.
I'll second that.
We're on page,
I'm sorry.
Big ticket items, third page,
third page.
Yep.
economic stability, item number 1.
Okay. Discussion.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yeah.
So again, I think it's clear that in finding out a way to speed up the eligibility process is critical both to our nursing homes as well as all the other citizens in the state of New Hampshire. I think this is a cost-effective way to do that, to be able to stand up and take those priority calls that are coming in and be able to move them forward, easing the burden of the other 72 employees or 77 employees, whatever it was, that are working this, to not take the tier 1 calls, be able to work on the enhanced calls that are more problematic, that need more effort, need more help, because we have the call center underneath that's dealing with, for lack of a better phrase, the day-to-day calls. So I think that this is a great way to do this that will enhance all of Medicaid recipients to be able to get eligibility determined in a more quicker and easier fashion.
Okay. Senator Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you know how long it's going to take to get this call center up and running?
It's already running,
It's already running, so is it working?
as far as I know, yeah.
It is helping because Mr. Williams was correct. We went to Hudson and they talked about this huge delay that's having a big financial impact on that nursing home. And if we have a call center, why aren't they able to address their needs?
Sounds like HHS, back to the desk.
Hello again.
Thank you, Nathan.
The call center has been in place for a couple of years. It was originally funded with ARPA funds, which is why we're requesting general funds. The call center, it acts as sort of the first intake to deal with those basic questions. And as Henry was saying, it takes many months to actively train a new employee on the requirements. And the work itself is actually it's very difficult. And it's difficult to retain people because it's not an easy job to do. And so because of that, that's one of the reasons why we've seen a high vacancy rate in that area. But because it takes so long to train someone, then they have to make the eligibility determinations. So the real purpose of the call center is to more take the easy questions, field the easier questions, direct people in the right direction. And then the experienced staff that are on the HHS side, they make those determinations. And as Henry was saying before, during the pandemic, we obviously saw many challenges that that have come through, and We're also, kind of looking forward as far as implementing the work requirements, and then we're also potentially looking at some changes at the federal level that are possibly coming down the pipe in the future, where redeterminations will not be happening annually, but they may be happening every 6 months for certain populations, which will double the workload in certain areas. So overall, this is a key priority for the department, and I don't necessarily know if I can emphasize that enough.
May I follow up, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Thank you for that answer, Nathan. It's just, this is $3.8 million, and I have a nursing home in my district that has almost $1 million worth of backlog. How is spending this money going to help their backlog?
If I could take that, without the call center, it would get worse. And I think we are, as I talked about earlier, we are making concerted efforts with senior leadership from the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, leading work efforts to make changes. But realistically, I think, work requirement is one of the #1 priorities in Congress. Second one is to do, I think, is more frequent eligibility checks. We'll really be in a world of hurt if we have to pull people off doing the redetermination work or the determination work. I don't see, honestly, how we could survive, the system not getting much worse than it is without a call center. And I really feel like this is integral to being able to sustain improvements that we're going to need to be able to make, and then the being able to take on the things that are coming at us that are reasonable requests of the department, but they do mean we're going to have to interact more with the public, and not to be able to answer the phone at that level is going to lead to people who are working the applications having to pick up the phone, and they may not be able to do so as well as someone who's dedicated to that effort. But I think if you kind of look at it, focusing the workers who are processing the applications just on applications and not interrupting that work is going to lead to a better situation than it would otherwise. And we are, with the prior item, recognizing we do need to help the workforce because they're overrun with what the number of expected cases that they're expected to handle.
May I follow up, Mr. Chairman? Thank you for that explanation, but it doesn't help what's already occurring now. You're talking about moving forward and making things more efficient, and I think that's great. But right now, we have a backlog.
Sorry, excuse me.
No, and we cannot afford to have our nursing homes shut down because they're not getting payments. What is HHS doing to ensure that these nursing homes are getting paid the money that they are owed? I don't see the connection between the call center because you don't have enough people. It takes a long time to train them. You're moving forward, but we're looking backward at nursing homes that are owed money, and that is having a significant impact on them. And I would hate to see nursing homes here in New Hampshire have to turn away qualified patients who need a nursing home because they just don't have the money. They're owed money. What are we doing to rectify that situation?
So I'll give you a concrete example in terms of the applications that can't be processed because of incomplete information. The head of the eligibility area has redesigned the interaction time with the nursing homes to be able to be more productive and getting more applications processed. We have seen some improvement over where we were a number of months back in terms of the backlog. I don't have the statistics in my head, but we certainly could provide them to you and continue to provide them to you in terms of the progress that we are making. It's still not enough. I'm not saying that it's enough, it's not. But we are making some progress in terms of the number of cases we're able to close quicker than we were previously, and we have dropped down some of the workload. We have to, it's sort of like the dike is leaking over here, we're going over there, but we are making progress operationally in terms of being able to process applications more timely. Our stats would support that compared to a number of months ago. the point we're making with the call center is that if we take that call center away, any progress that we have made and any progress we can make in the future, we're in real trouble.
May I follow up?
Yes.
One last time? Thank you,
You
Mr.
and
Chairman.
then Senator Birdsall, then Senator Lang.
I appreciate what you're saying. What I'm looking for perhaps is some assurance from the department that if we do this, we invest this $3.8 million into the call center, that DHHS is going to address the backlog. That should be a priority because that is directly affecting the nursing homes. And we can't afford to have them leave. We can't afford to have them shut down. So are you in a position to assure us that you are going to be addressing the backlog? Because we should not have a backlog. We have this call center. We shouldn't have any kind of a backlog. Problems should be taken care of immediately.
Number one, I can assure you that it's the top priority of the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, and they're actively engaged in this issue, much more than you would even expect. The second thing is we are making progress, but we do need some resources to further that progress beyond where we are today, and that's, I think, the item you had before you. I think that just in terms of the eligibility, long-term eligibility, part of the combination is when an application is not being processed for payment, it's the time it takes for the nursing facility and the state to connect together to clarify what is missing documentation. And so we're doing that better than we were before. And we have more progress to make. And I think with some additional staffing, we'll be in a better position to further those gains.
Thank you, Mr. Lippman.
Senator Birdsall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Henry, let me get this right. This call center fields about 30,000 calls per month.
That's correct.
And not only would the call center help with the backlog, but also the piece of legislation we just heard prior would also try and help release the backlog. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Senator.
Again, I was just trying to, Henry, it sounded like you were saying that if we don't do this, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. That the item of the nursing homes will be exacerbated even more because all of these tier 1 calls would go to your experienced staff that's trying to process eligibility claims and not just answering what are the rules around Medicaid, kind of generic questions. Is that a summary of where we would stand?
It's an excellent summary. Thank you.
Senator Roosevelt.
Thank you. On the question of eligibility determinations, and particularly the medical, what is the qualification of staff that is doing them? Do you have to be an RN?
There is an RN involved in it. That we have a contractor that has RN staff. We have some RN staff within the department. We're talking about the medical evaluations. Some can be done by hospital situations in certain circumstances. And there's a team that makes the final decision with respect to these medical evaluations.
Follow-up?
Would it be helpful if maybe an LPN could make those MEDs?
It's not my full area of expertise, but I think from an RN standpoint that you sometimes need to be able to make the clinical judgments that involve certain circumstances that you need a higher level person than just a licensed practical nurse.
Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the argument's been made about this item. I do wonder, though, in light of the conversation, whether in that remaining item that we have, that perhaps that could be divided up and perhaps Senator Carson, Senator Birdsall could find a way that some of that funding might be directed towards the backlog as well as to the purpose that's mentioned there. Because I think it's a very real issue about the backlog, and it might be that, some kind of amendment on that last item could have a schedule, a direction, an amount of money, and a kind of deliverables that might.
Without objection, we will take this up tomorrow then. Anyone else in the
I
audience?
made a motion.
Yeah, so again, we didn't take up the other item, I think there's a motion still pending on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's why I said without objection.
It's just not objective.
I have an objection. I think we should, again, as chair, in all honesty, I think we should fund this. This is,
I do too.
that this needs to move forward and be clear that we're gonna support the continued use of this tier one system.
All right.
So
Okay.
what is the item? Is it the call
The tier
center?
one.
Yeah, just the call center motion, yeah.
And it's 3.825. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And any additional amendment will come forward tomorrow. Is Senator Walker.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention before we adjourn that I had some contact from employees at the DOC about some of the positions that we eliminated that may be required under the suit settlement. And I know that I called to the commissioner and some other folks over there. They're having a meeting this afternoon. I think we'll get some guidance as to whether we should rethink that or not. I have put in some kind of just placeholder amendments related to those positions, so we'll have them tomorrow, but I hope we'll have some clarification from the
I would
commissioner today.
request that you and Senator Lang get together
Yeah,
before
we will,
tomorrow's
we
meeting.
will, but I just wanted to mention it because we're almost out of time.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to come out of exec?
So moved.
Second.
Wow. We've got so many. All those in favor of coming out of executive session, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We are out of executive session. Our business today being complete. We are adjourned.